Hello and welcome back to another tutorials. So far we have learned a lot about different facial features separately, and now this time we are going to start drawing a side view portrait. We need to draw the face sketches first before making the lines too bold. As always, it's important to understand the full image, therefore make sure you analyze and see where each part of the outline should be. As always, we are going through the outlines in a freehand style. Please watch the screen and follow along. You do have all these outlines as your downloadable resources and also your reference on a grid, so you could download them, print them, and practice on them. So as you can see, we are going through slowly going through the lips and the teeth. Please follow and practice. Slowly, we're gonna go through the lower lip and then the chin part afterwards. This is as I mentioned, this is a side view portrait. So far, since we have learned all the other facial features, this is going to be a little different. We are going to practice this facial feature with Caran d'Ache Luminance. And before we start coloring, we have to be absolutely sure about all the outlines placement. It is very important to have the correct foundation for everything. So make sure all the lines that you see on your reference, they are being correctly drawn here. Now let's go through the eye parts and draw it. Look how we are placing it on the screen. Now it's all about correction. So we are slowly going through the nose, the side view nose, and make more visible lines. Please don't make it too bold because you won't be able to correct it. And also do not practice with a HB pencils because the trace of an HB pencil would stay underneath your color pencil drawing, and that's not really good. So the details of the eye, we are going to go through them, and the eyelashes. Slowly draw the details of the upper eyelid. So you can see I keep going back and forth in order to correct the outlines. Freehand drawings is not that hard as long as you practice enough, watch precisely and follow what we are saying, and before actually starting freehand style you go through all your resources and practice those outlines. This is going to be fun. The eyes should look like a triangular shape too, so draw lines in that sense. Draw the wrinkles, the eye wrinkles. It doesn't mean you're just old or have a lot of wrinkles. Each eye will have those details, and that's what makes it drawing beautiful because of all the details around it. They're all the wrinkles next to the lips would be the laughing expression because of the laughing expression that it portrays. So since we are going through the lips, please look how we are drawing, correct the lower lip drawing. The lips going to more towards up rather than a straight line. Make sure of that, of the curviness. So we don't want it to come out too flat. Now drawing the teeth part, but in a very subtle way, and don't do this too much. Don't put too much pressure on it, as we don't want this part to show a lot. It's not our main focus, that's what I mean. Now later we have to go after this to go through the cheek part and determine where is it, which should be here, as I'm just circling around. This part would be the neck that we are drawing, slowly going through. Even if you need, it's just a few minutes drawing, and the drawing parts of each lesson of our tutorials only takes few minutes, maximum 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe watch it a few times, understand the drawing, and understand how we do freehands, the sizes between the eyes, nose, and lips, and how we draw them together. We have to correct some part of the jawline to make it looks more like our reference and more curvy rather than too uh, non-curvy, I have to say. The areas that I'm just putting some lines on it are the areas that we have lights on it, and they should be colored lighter than the others. We are almost close to start the coloring part. You can see the drawing part only took 6 minutes so far, so it will be amazing you practice this 6 minutes and watch it few times. It's not gonna take a lot of your time. With the same pencil, we are going to start drawing one more time with a brown ochre 50%. Starting with the forehead. The areas we are going through have more shading, so we start going through them even more right now. This should have minimum pressure uh, for the very first layer. Make sure you draw with the same hand pressure and don't add any sudden both hand and pencil pressure onto your surface. We will continue with the same pencil that we have used for the outline. That's why when you're choosing what color for the outline you're using, maybe choose the outline that you're going to start drawing the first layer. So you can see the colors, make sure you understand them and see and analyze the color pencils that you have. Even if you don't have this one, that's correct, that's fine. Just combine it with different color pencils in order for you to create the color pencils that you don't have. So after that, we have to start using burnt sienna, brown ochre, sepia 50%, and a combination of these ones we are going to use mostly for this tutorial. Of course, we are going to start using burnt sienna, which is a darker color, and we'll mix it with brown ochre and sepia 50% later. So now let's start using and to determine where the dark parts are using sepia 50%. Take your time when it comes to these parts and make sure your pencil is very sharp, especially for the details outline, especially the nostrils area. Look at my hand movements, how I'm creating the lines, and after the lines I go around. Minimum pressure. Let's watch it with real time speed so you understand your own speed at the same time as well that you need to apply for your own drawing practice. Now we are going to do the middle line of the leaves with the same sepia 50%, still using the same color. Slowly going through the line for the laughing line. Still I'm making sure the pencil is sharp. So even we are using for the outlines, this outline's not gonna stand out too much for our drawing to looks fake or unrealistic. Using the same pencil and going through the eye and making the eyeliner more obvious and also the wrinkles around it. See how slowly I'm going through them. When it comes to any other medium, you're going to do the same thing. It's either oil painting, either digital art, all of them will have this step-by-step progress that you do very light sketch, you then slowly and gradually you go through those sketches and give more colors and bring them to life. And that's the beauty of it. Now we are done with the eyebrows. Please pay attention to the hand direction and how we draw the hair strokes. Look at the curviness of it and where each one stands. This is, we are only doing as a main shape. We are not gonna go into more details. If you feel, look at your reference. If you feel it's been done not incorrectly, please correct this right away. Because of the shadow on the picture that we could see, you can download your reference and look at it as well. This area of the nose actually is dark as well. So I'm looking to see where else I can use this sepia color. A little on the forehead. We realize we still need to use the same pencil to draw the other side of the eyebrow, even though it's a little, but we should not ignore it. Even though this is a side view profile, we still can see some the other side of the eyebrow, so definitely draw it and don't leave it out. Now we have to make sure the shadow parts are all done. You can see how little pressure we brought onto the paper so far. Just quickly few hair strands to make our model more decent. Because the line has been drawn in a subtle way, we can erase it and go on it one more time. We are doing brown ochre 50%. Start using our brown ochre. Going round. These areas, even though this color is an amazing skin tone color that matches our reference, however, we have to be careful how we are using it because it's the under layer. Anywhere we use, because other layer is gonna come onto it, it's gonna get much darker. So the areas that we don't use it and other layers gonna come, they are gonna be much brighter. Even we use another light color on these areas, it's gonna become really dark. So bear that in mind, please. We are just erasing some parts because and the nose has lots of highlight. That is the reason we have to correct it and make sure the shape of the highlights still there, which I'm like pointing at them right now. And also we changed the shape, the nose shape a little, made it sharper. So both the highlight and the nose shape now is correct. So far we have been coloring around. Now we're gonna go through the second layer and shape the face more with our color pencils. Look how, even though we are using circular movement with our pencil, still the direction of hand movement is quite important. So we are not going like flat. We analyze the reference and then use it on our model without pressure, very delicate. Just add the lines. A little we are adding more pressure, so you have to understand each part and when is the right time. Okay, I'm going to add a little more pressure with the same pencil. Now it's important to keep more colors onto the right places using sepia. Interestingly, the eye of our model is not actually closed, it's a little open, so we have to consider that as well. And this line, the second line we drew, it shows that the eye is slightly open. So you can see we are going to start using brown ochre to shade this area, the nose between the eyebrows, and also the forehead. We go around. Always start from the outline and go in the middle. Never start exactly from the middle part because you might create um, more pressure area and it looks like a scar. Circular hand movement. We go around. The shading should be very soft and all the same pressure. You can see all these light and darker parts mixing together are creating depth and main shape of the portrait. Going to keep using the same pencil and go around the upper eyelid, and all the areas needs to be done. Make sure the highlights don't go away because there is a very curviness in the middle of the eye that you can see. Look at the reference on the left side. Please keep comparing what we are doing and how we are doing it. Gradually adding the line underneath the eye. Putting the reference on the left side, you can understand why we are doing such a thing. So everything we see, we draw them. That's called having a realistic style, even though because we are not doing hyper realistic, we still have that fantasy feeling that leave a little wideness of the paper. Still, it's much easier than realistic, but when it comes to hyper realistic drawing, you need to be way more thorough with this shading stuff and hand movements, and of course, color placements. Since we are using brown ochre again, if you notice, we gradually layer each section without any rush. Making a lot of corrections before furthering. look at the picture a little with a closer look. So now we are going to make sure all the colors are being done correctly and placed correctly, I mean. Using brown ochre 50% now, with lighter color we can blend the area more and then go around it again. Now we are going to fill up the forehead. We are using bigger circular motion. Emphasizing on lid lines, the outlines of the nose one more time. Slowly adding the pressure, and from the line gradually go up. When I say gradually go up or go down from the line, it means the line has more color onto it, and then gradually you reduce the pressure so the color gets less. With our sepia, we correct the nose wing and then blend the outline, the sepia outline, with a lighter color, and continue the lip part, the upper part of the lip, in between of course the nose and the lip. So since we are creating more layers now, while you're drawing, you need to analyze which areas should have milder tone and which one more. So usually I explain to my students about like the black shadows, mid-tone, highlights and whites. However, this color tone that we are using, instead of like from black to white and what are the mid-tones in between, I would like to explain to you from brown ochre 50%, burnt sienna, brown ochre itself and sepia 50% are the main colors that we are using. So how they look like on this portrait I'm going to explain to you very soon. So as you can see on the left side, before we go through the colors tones, have a look how our model looks like. You can actually have you do have access through these tonal ranges and all these downloadable resources later on as well, whenever you download your assignments. So it's always good to understand which area should be darker and which areas have more highlights. So this is actually happens when you make your put your photo on a Photoshop, or you understand the tones, like the very dark ones, the mild and the absolute highlights way better. However, after a while you won't need to have actually to know this. You will your eyes will teach you and tell you what are the right things and how you should color. So now let's actually go through the next. Before we go through the tonal range, we have started using burnt ochre. So on the left side you can see the from very dark to light. This is exactly the same thing you have to understand within actually all your color pencils. What are the most absolute dark ones, and the when it goes towards highlights and whiteness, that it reduces the pressure. What are the colors? If you know it and yeah, practice these ones, your drawing is going to be much easier for you to continue and progress. So always make sure that you practice your pencils from very dark to light and understand the tonal range while you can. Since we went through the color tonal range, we have to always to analyze that which part of the portrait have more redness on it, so we have to use maybe burnt ochre on the upper eyelid, and for the eye area with as I mentioned, with burnt ochre. Now after a while, using ochre 50% to create more skin tone and making sure the skin looks a little much better. Not much better, just a little so far, because we haven't even added the official second layer. In order to create more lines with our sepia color, we're gonna go onto the lines. See how gradually we add more pressure onto the pencil. And then let's blend above the eye, a little going onto the lines that we draw as well, to blend those outlines. So now going through the cheek part. When it comes to coloring actually the cheek parts, it's a little different from the rest of the drawing, because you actually have to start from the middle of the skin, which I usually recommend we should not do it. And if you didn't have coloring practice before, make sure that this part it won't create additional line, and also too much pressure on some part that it feels that the skin has some scars. They have to actually come together and get connected. We are using burnt ochre 50%. It's a very soft area. If drawn too fast, we will have a correct layer afterwards when we want to add. So make sure they're not too obvious. Go with circular motion, hand movement, and blend well. Now using burnt ochre, because we need to have more red pigments on the cheek part. Look at the second layer and how it looks different. Slowly we are adding the second layer on this part. So after, with some speedy timing, we've watched those areas, we are going to go with brown ochre 50% around. And also later we will connect it with just brown ochre as well. So the 50% and the one that doesn't have 50%, they even have different numbers, so careful which one you choose. We're going to continue with our brown ochre pencil and complete the skin tone, the skin areas. For all these areas except the highlight ones that need to stay white, we can use the same color. Now it's time to use a more pinky color for some areas to create a very faint layer on the lips area and lips part. Still with the same speed, we go around and create the first layer on the lips part. For the middle line, for the lips middle line, we have to use burnt sienna 50%. It's a dark tone that is close for the skin. It would really match this area. And then slowly going through the rest of the details with it. Continue in a very slow way in order you could analyze, and then gradually from the line reduce the pressure. Now with burnt sienna 10%, we're gonna go around on the lips part and continue, because we use burnt sienna 50%. Now the 10% would be a good combination on it. Now we are using crimson to give a darker layer and start shading slowly the areas we didn't shade before. Now with the scarlet, we can continue for as another layer on the lips area. So let's have a look together and see how much of this scarlet color pencil we are going to use here. So only use this color for the dark areas on the lips part, not the highlights. Be careful you keep the whiteness of the highlights on the lips intact so they stay there. Now let's add more pressure on our red pencil for the line to come out a little more visible. We are creating this line on burnt sienna 50%, so it's not on its own as well. Look how much we are adding pressure. It's minimal, but still it creates lots of color on the lips part. So since we don't want only to use red color on the lips area, we have to use some pink pigments on it as well, like here, and blend the previous color. Just be careful, because this is a lighter color, doesn't mean it's going to be bright because we are using it on a darker surface. It's good that it's very good to combine them to get a better color from these two, the scarlet and the pink one. Later we have to use the same color for the smile line and gradually go around, such as here. slowly we are getting the shape of the face. With our initial color pencil, we continue this skin tone. So after we use enough of this color for now, we're gonna start using sepia 50% to create more color on the nose and the cheek areas. So as I mentioned, we are going to give more colors to the nose and cheek parts, but this shading should be look like that will distinguish between the light parts and the dark areas. With any color pencil that you have that feels like a darker brown, go through this area, but you can see there was a line outside. Now I'm going to raise it for a second to make sure our lines are neat, are done neatly. So slowly going and give more shade onto different areas. So gradually adding it around the edges. Let's keep using sepia or any darker brown that you have on the nose areas as well. Even though we barely, with minimal pressure we are using this pencil, it still makes a lot of difference while we are using it. Slightly we are going to use sepia on the lips area as well, but not just too much. Only we could shape out the lips a little better, and then continue to the chin area and towards the jaw lines. You can see how little by little and slowly we go round. We don't give the whole face its color at once. This part, because it has a lot of shadows, it is okay to start with a dark tone for the neck part. Just make sure, because we are using such bold lines, you have to be careful how you draw them and you're sure about their placements, and then later you have to blend those colors and fade them with lighter ones. Now with lighter brown we're gonna go around. Let's focus on the eye and see how much we can complete it. The important key factor here is just keep going around and not just stay in one area. This way you understand which place needs more shading and which place needs less, because they have been done all at the same time. We are using burnt ochre 50%. We do need to create a circle on the eye area with shading, or more towards oval shade. Oval shape. As you can see it above the eye. This area doesn't have much shadow, so we can create more layers with the same pressure. The highlight parts, I mean. slowly add the hair strokes. So with burnt sienna, we can use it for the lighter part of the eyebrows and create more natural feeling onto it. So another layer of shading onto the eyebrow part. Then again, with our brown ochre 50%, we go around the eyebrows, blend the color more with each other. Keep going around. You can see all the hair strokes that we draw at the beginning. There, the hint of them remains. So the rest of them they're gone. If you want the hair strokes to be distinguished one more time, you have to go on it. Look at the eyelashes we are drawing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson and this tutorial, the eye of this of our model is almost a little open. Going through the shadows of the eyelashes above the eyelashes. Now slowly going to start around to add more layers around the corner of the eye. Now again, with the same pencil, we're gonna go throughout the edges, the outline of the rest of the both sides that you saw, both eye sides, and also the outline of the nose. Look how we try slowly to give more color. Here we are using a combination of burnt ochre 50% and of course burnt ochre 10% and brown ochre 50%. Slowly and with same pressure of hand and hand movement go around the forehead and slowly move it towards the cheek parts. Now we are going to start using burnt ochre 10%. Since it's a lighter color, we are going to add more layer on the previous colors that we have done before. Now with the same burnt ochre 10%, still we are going around the chin area and also underneath the lips and around the outlines. Slowly adding the colors. Now with brown ochre 50% or any darker color, brown color that you have, start going around the hair area. the jawline and also the shadows of the neck, you can apply the same pencil. Going to slowly add more color on the previous burnt ochre 10%. See how slowly we add details on different facial features. Now we can use burnt sienna 50%, closer to red and brown, so coloring more onto the lips. Circle around. Starting using 571, our pink color, to blend and fade this area, especially on the lips parts. You see how many different colors with minimum pressure we add in order to create the color tone that we want. So now I'm going to start using burnt ochre 10% one more time, using a lighter color on the dark ones, which this technique I've been using it a lot so far and you have learned it before. For this drawing, we are not going to shade the whole face and complete it, but this is a tutorial how to bring different facial features together, how to draw a complete portrait, and how to shade those facial features together as well. So in the next tutorials we will go through a complete face drawing and shading, and also in different direction. Right now we have learned how exactly they should be, the facial features, they should come together. We have drawn it and also colored it. Continuing with our burnt ochre 10%. Look how we are moving our hand. Now we are going to use another technique, which using white pencil blending technique, especially on the highlights. So this blending technique that you learned before, we are using it, mixing it with burnt ochre 10%, which is close to white and pink, and continue shading the rest of it with this pencil. So let's have a look while we are a little going to speed up the process. We can start using burnt ochre 50% as well. This is all about layering now. We are going to speed up from here. Let's have a look together how we are going to use other pencil for more detail area. You have learned all the techniques for this portrait drawing and how to connect the facial features. So let's have a look and follow up. Slowly add all the colors where they needed. Now with the scarlet, more reddish color, we're gonna go on the lips part and add the last layer. just the area that it needs this scarlet. Please do not add it on all the areas. Using a lighter color to blend the lips. So far added a lot of details. So now it's time to slowly going towards the hair area. Let's go through the rest of the hair drawing and add the hair strokes around here. With the same pencil, we are going to add more shading towards the neck part and more the outlines, especially around the nose, as you can see on the screen. However, really careful this area. I would like advise you, if this is the first time you're using a darker color, so make sure you use it in the right areas with more patience, or even practice before actually applying it on your main model. The tip of the nose needs to be completely corrected, and also have a little highlight on exactly the tip part. Obviously, if you have done anything that you need to erase, please do it, like above the lips here and a little around the cheek parts. Going to add the eraser next to the lips part as well, the lips area, to resize the lower lip. With more highlight on it, you can see the edge part of the lips. We erased the color and added less color actually onto it, comparing to what it was there before. Now it looks less flat and more realistic. Going on it with our lighter color and blend the red parts. The amount you're going to use scarlet here and your red color, it doesn't have to be scarlet. That's why I know so far you know the color's name. However, you might not have all the pencils, so I might not call out some of the pencils that we are using, so you could actually find the similar ones and use it accordingly. Try to use more color skin tone, and if you don't have them, create them, for instance, more cream and brown. A lot of a combination between red, yellow and blue. All these colors can give you the result that you need. Not just the hand movement, hand pressure, you have to be careful, but also the hand movement, how you're actually going to move your hand and create some specific outlines, like here, the cheek parts. You have to see how you're moving the pencil on certain areas. These are completed the last touches. That's where we are going a little speedy. Going to complete and give a light color for the cheek area and near the cheek as well. with our more brownish color. Gonna darken the edges of the jawline, and then make sure that you use the same color and give same amount of colors obviously around it, so don't leave out the other areas. Using a lighter color on the white areas, don't leave it except the absolute highlights for the iris that you can see actually on the example on the left side. But when it comes to the other parts that they are white, maybe use very light color such as blue ones that we are using here, blue slash green, gray I mean. Can see we are adding a very cold color onto the skin to make it more realistic feeling. Gonna go around and apply most of the on most of the areas, but please do not put any pressure onto it. You can obviously use previous pencil and make sure the bluish grayish color just doesn't stay there, and blend it very well with it. We're almost done with our this portrait drawing. I really hope you have followed and you have analyzed how it should be done. It is quite easy after you watch, you have the right guidance, you know all the techniques and the right colors that you have to use. Therefore, it's not something really hard. And then after a few times practice, you will be able to draw even freehand as well. Make sure the highlights on the nose, the cheek parts and near the jawline, they stay there. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I cannot wait to receive your practices, and for now, bye bye and see you in the next lesson.